Good evening and welcome to Going for Two. This is the only YouTube podcast in human recorded history to feature a male and female host drinking our way through the important topics of the day, as long as they touch the football world and not in that way, and as long as there aren't any out-of-court settlements, because our slush fund is almost zero. Are you ready to talk lawyerese, Sharona, or do you need more beer?
I'm drinking wine tonight, as a matter of fact.
Oh, look at that.
Yes, and so I am ready. Sure, yeah.
I was like, what kind of show is it going to be tonight? It's going to be a quirk, open kind of night.
Yeah, what's brewing with you, Zach?
I'm going for the bomber of the three philosophers, which is a quad, which is 9.7%. It's very strong, but trust me, I'll do okay.
Not nearly as strong as Dragon's Milk.
It's got to be close. I left work late today, so I had an excuse to stop by the Total Wine, which has a giant selection of everything. And
sorry, I'm trying to
saw it. I feel like I've had it once, and I was kind of like not totally loving it, but I'll have to try it one time. With the double Dragon's Milk it.
Dragon's Milk has like 11.3.
Yes, your blood alcohol content I cannot compare. So yeah, let's do this. Let's do the light stuff first. So this weekend, we were doing a fun game of Cards Against Humanity, and do that if you ever want to find out about your friends for real. It's a lot of fun. And one of our friends was like, "Well, there are these 3 breweries near where we live. Why don't we go to all 3 in one day?" And that sounded crazy. Plus, we have weird laws in Georgia, so I didn't even know if we'd be able to do it in time. So there actually is a company in town that does the triple tour, and you actually can go into the brewery before it officially opens. And so on Saturday, we are going to the Wild Heaven Brewery, where I went for my birthday a few weeks ago, 3 taverns, and Blue Tarp, all of which are about a mile from each other. And I assume after that, somewhere with heavy, greasy food, because we're going to need it. I'm also wondering if we're going to 3 breweries in 4 hours, if we're going to get the full tour experience, you know? See, in Georgia, we have weird laws. You're only allowed to buy a tour. You can't actually buy a beer from a brewery, because that would get the middlemen who pay off our,
Gotcha.
horrible legislature. And so you can't, I mean, there are 2 states in the country where you cannot buy beer at the brewery, and we're on one of them. Hard to believe.
What is the other one?
Mississippi. Yeah, it's got to be in the South, right? Not Tennessee, though.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee's got some glorious times happening. So is the story about Peyton Manning interesting, or is it the reaction to it? Because this has some serious legs. I don't know. Well, you actually wrote about it, so I feel like you should talk about it more than me.
I mean, the story is, to me, the Title IX lawsuit. What Peyton allegedly did is has been litigated and is in, as far as we know, is in the litigation past, and neither one of them are allowed to talk about it. And so, there's that. And we don't have all the documents, so the record is incomplete. But what we do know is that there was an incident, and she filed an equal employment opportunity claim, which UT settled. And I had been trying to get information on that. I did a radio segment, Pittsburgh radio segment earlier today, and I've been trying to figure out. It's because it's weird. She got $300,000, which is, at the time, was the maximum liability. I think it might actually still be, but anyway, the maximum amount that you could get under the Governmental Tort Liability Act. But I don't think, I don't know how UT, I thought UT was a state institution, and that doesn't apply. So anyway, there's some weird things about that. I wasn't able to really figure it. But anyway, I think the answer to the question is yes, that it's the story itself, because it is, included, albeit briefly, but included in the Title IX lawsuit. And I think that we can also learn a lot by watching how people talk about it.
I think I wanted to bring it up, and I don't think it came up like during the pre-Super Bowl because there was a lot of talk about Cam, well, mostly about Cam's on the field stuff. But some people made, the mention of the laptop thing, but there was an article that came out about Peyton because the whole thing that makes this interesting, well, there are many things that make this interesting.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that the writer of the article at the New York Daily News, Sean King, not the quarterback Sean King,
No, please. He's very upset that Sean
Yeah,
King.
I know. When I first heard that name, I was like, wow, look what that guy's gotten himself into. But no, the former Bucs quarterback is, I think, quarterback's coach at South Florida or something. He's still very much in the football world. But this guy wrote an article, which it was weird. I mean, it is very much in the Times in that it was like a mix of opinion and reporting, which really was so overtly that. I mean, the fact was the actual article, as someone who graduated from journalism school, pretty much horrible and shouldn't have been published. But it got the story out there more than it was by a few articles that came out before. And this has been covered. It was not totally ignored when it happened in Tennessee, right?
But so, your description, Zach, I don't mean to interrupt you, but your description, don't you find it like both ironic, funny, and ha-ha funny that Clay Travis, of all people, is the one to be criticizing Sean King?
Yeah, I was trying to get that because if you're a smart person, you'll head to the Facebook.com page for Going for Two because I posted 4 articles in order talking about this. First, the Sean King article. Then I actually posted the Clay Travis article by reading as little as I could before posting it. And then I posted the Deadspin article that actually showed all 27 allegations that the doctor had against the school. And I know I posted your article, Finale, because I want people to read your stuff first.
Thank you.
But I wanted to go, actually, I was trying to go back and forth because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of quote unquote objectivity happening here. There's obviously the first article guy was, Sean King seemed to be kind of pissed because of what happened to Cam Newton. And he was kind of like a lot of people, when you hear about this, you're like, not Peyton Manning, not the guy who works for the pizza dude who won't pay his employees. Yeah, no, this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, by the way, we mentioned that term cultural appropriation. If anything is white culture, Peyton Manning is it. So maybe we should think twice about that before we go ahead. So we had the Sean King article. We had the Clay Travis comeback, which included him comparing Peyton's situation to what happened at Duke with the lacrosse team and what happened when the Rolling Stone article came out about the Virginia frat that they're talking about rape.
Why am I not surprised? I mean, I find myself being shocked, although I know exactly who and what Clay Travis is.
But when I read that, I was thinking to myself, the people at Duke and the people at Virginia were exonerated of all charges, whereas Peyton was exonerated by his school having to pay $300,000, and then a second settlement because he couldn't keep his freaking trap shut.
Yeah.
Or Archie Manning couldn't keep his trap shut.
Yeah.
So no, the fact that he said 100% not guilty, I was like, what do you?
He ignores all that. He has completely and utterly ignored the fact that that they've had to pay her money repeatedly. They being collectively Mannings or Tennessee. He's just, I mean, that factual part of it is beyond his comprehension.
Because the part about the Sean King,
from what I gather, now full disclaimer, I don't read his bullshit.
Well, I didn't want to read it, but then at first, it was the second paragraph. I'm like, oh my gosh, really? You're good at making comparisons, guy who shows pictures of scantily clad, Alabama fans half the time. Hey, it's an industry. But the fact that what really got me, and you can probably talk about this a lot, is you kind of have your opinion set about a lot of things in life. And I hadn't heard about the Peyton thing, but I think I had done a little bit of he was young, whatever. Although thinking of myself at that age, when would I have ever have actually done what was alleged? Whether there was touching or not, because that seemed to be a big part of it for some people. Yeah. But it was the fact that, and you could see this from his personality, and he's a very competitive guy, he's a quarterback, and he's been pretty freaking entitled his entire life, that he couldn't let it go.
Yeah.
Like, basically the lawsuit was settled, and then was it his dad, or was it the whole Mannings? The book came out.
Yeah, it was a
He
collective
had
effort,
to
but it
call
was
her,
rude.
like, vulgar and say bad things about her, and there's insinuation about the fact that she was sleeping around with black football players because the race made a difference. And
Well,
it wasn't
and allegedly wanted her to blame it on a black football player.
I'm pretty sure it was a African American like track guy who was actually the witness and who reached out to Peyton and said, "Dude, this didn't happen the way you said it happened. Have a little bit of dignity."
Yeah, there was a two-time Olympian who testified for her. The only teammate, his former teammate, who was the only person to witness it, and some other things. So yeah, I mean, yeah. And those affidavits contradicted Peyton's version of certain events, and so I mean, it's gotten unnecessarily ugly, because if you just parse it down, it's something that happened, whether Clay Travis wants to acknowledge that or not, and was settled, and but in Clay Travis style, he now wants to go out and try to victim blame.
Yeah, that seemed like the people who were defending Peyton were going that way, because the article after the Clay Travis one was the article from Deadspin, which showed the 27 violations. And this kind of ties into the whole Title IX thing. Like, this is not just happening in Tennessee, this is happening all over the place. Yeah. Very rare at that time for a woman to be working in an athletic department, and obviously you're going to have things said to you, but there was a lot of stuff said allegedly.
Yeah. Yeah, but didn't you find it weird that it was like, oh, honey, you're in a male environment, male dominated, yet if she did try to act like one of the guys, she was vulgar. I mean, it was like a no-win situation, as it often is.
Either she was vulgar, as Peyton said, or she wasn't, as it sounded like everybody else in the world said, like never cursed, even like in private. Okay. But yeah, the way it went, it just it got ugly. And then I think it was an SB Nation article, which wasn't Clay Travis-esque, but it did seem to say that, hey, he did it, boys will be boys, a little bit of victim blaming, a little bit of that, a little bit of, hey, this is, get over it. Hey, I've been covering the Denver Broncos for a while, and Peyton was nice to me once.
Yeah.
So we gotta do
this. Is it that Mile High Report, people?
I think that was it.
The worst part about that was them trying to claim that this conduct was not illegal. Dude, sexual harassment is illegal. That is sexual harassment. I'm sorry, guys, listen, I hate to break it to you, but in the year of our Lord, 2016, you cannot drop your drawers and moon an employee of the place that you are associated with. Hate to break it to you.
Well, if you're Peyton.
Well, unless you're Peyton.
And you I think we mentioned this before, but the Archie Manning little bit angle, like, he's a little bit of maybe a little kingmaker there. I think he definitely was behind the whole Eli getting traded to the Giants because he wanted to get to a bigger market. And I'm sure he was maybe behind some of the words that show up in the book and helping Peyton out during that time. Because those guys are like America's pitchmen, as stiff as Eli can be. He's still doing those commercials for watches or whatever, so he's got something happening. But nothing's ever been said. It was going back and forth, and then it finished with, of course, reading Sharona's article, which puts it all together. It ties it up nicely. Because you're not talking just about Peyton. You're talking about the Title IX situation and just the world in general and the internet and how vicious people can be on the internet, especially on Twitter. Yeah. I don't know if your mentions were as bad as you said. I occasionally try to, check things out. But I
had to fucking lock down my Twitter account today because I've got 12-year-olds in there, saying I need a dick in my mouth.
I mean, seriously, like, we could have
I can't imagine why anyone might think Tennessee might have that problem with that pattern thing.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this over the last couple of weeks. Just you're defending your school, and it's almost like it's just nationalistic fervor. Like nothing wrong can ever happen at our school. When it happens, there's this denial, and then it turns into either blaming the victim or just blaming anybody who's pointing out the truth. It's not like you're saying slanderous things about your school. This is your school.
Yeah,
You
but
know what you see.
yeah, it's not uncommon though. This is not isolated, certainly to Tennessee. People who were reporting about the Jameis Winston allegations at Florida State. I mean, they were getting death threats and and harassment and all of that. I think that it speaks volumes about what our sports culture is.
Yeah, you wonder, are things getting worse now, or are we just getting to finally see what it's always been like?
Yeah.
This keeps in our theme of football and sports are definitely not doing very much to keep me a big fan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Holla at your girl. It's interesting because I started to say today, I was doing a radio segment, and I started to say that, no, it wasn't on this one. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. I didn't sleep very good last night. I was doing my podcast one day this past week, and I started to say, in the age of anonymity, internet and keyboard warriors and all of that. But I'm not so. When you see the Peyton Manning allegations and hear about what was going on in the locker room and all of that, I'm not so sure. But that some guys might not have done that to your face if you were in that environment. Does that make sense, Zach?
Yeah, I guarantee a lot of the comments, especially online and on Twitter, just it's like you feel kind of immortal because you have this anonymity, but then people can really get vicious. Like people can dox and like give you personal information online, and that can get like a little dangerous. So I guarantee that I wouldn't say we'd play a game, but it'd be like, hey, let's say this controversial thing. You post it to your Twitter, I'll post it to mine. Let's see what kind of reactions we get. And I guarantee the more vicious, blowback would come on you, not me.
Well, I'm sure you wouldn't be called a lesbian and be told, well, maybe you might be told you needed a dick in your mouth. I'm not sure.
Oh, my. Well.
I mean, I don't know.
It's just like 8:30 on a Wednesday night. It's getting real in this place here. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's like just the more you hear that, it just keeps like the volume keeps going up. This goes to 11. This goes to like 50. I mean, earlier today, and I keep sending these things your way, so it is my fault that you keep having a drink. That Clay Travis, who I really did stop following him on Twitter, but other people follow him, and that stuff pops up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was posting like basically Facebook stalking the doctor in this case, who knows if that Facebook account is really I would just say probably, if that was the real person, probably not posting on Facebook publicly about the University of Tennessee right now. Maybe, but probably not. But the fact that someone who's like a Fox Sports commentator and probably makes 7 figures a year is doing this, or his minions are doing this for him, it seems, I mean, it's like, hey, we got the gravy train. We got the Peyton Manning gravy train. People are outraged. It's the outrage culture. It's like peak TV and peak outrage are the two things that are going on. But it seems like the peak outrage is definitely causing damage to people. Man. But I don't know, there's like an entertainment level, and then you realize at the bottom line what actually happened and how disgusting it is, and how this is someone that a lot of people look up to, especially because he's got a giant forehead. So yeah, what are you gonna do? Thought I'd throw a forehead joke in there. No.
Are you trying to suggest that the forehead might have grown since a certain date and time and HGH allegations and what have you?
Well, the stories that he sent quote unquote goons after the guy who wrote the story sound a little more reasonable now, just based on what happened. That's hard to say. I guarantee that that part's going to die. This part, I don't know. But I did, here, let me just quote this. This is from an article I just read right before we got on.
Okay.
Ultraviolet, a national women's rights group, I'm speaking badly, sorry, is demanding that prominent sponsors cut ties with Denver Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning after the reemergence of sexual assault allegations against the quarterback from 1996. I thought it was later than that. No, wait, he was there. Okay.
There was a 94 incident that is under seal that we don't know what. So the one that we know about was 96 when he was a junior. There was one when he was a freshman.
Oh, really? A pattern? No.
Well, we don't. I mean, it's all under seal. We may never know what that was all about.
Because what were the documents exactly that Sean King wrote about in his article? Like, those were from the defense, right? They were from the woman whose name I should probably have written down somewhere, her defense team, right? Those were like the documents they submitted to the court. Is that what it was?
She was actually the plaintiff. I think she sued.
Well, right, okay. She was the one alleging somebody else did something bad. So yeah.
Okay. But it was her response.
Your term, sorry, go ahead.
They had filed a motion to dismiss, or a motion for summary judgment. They're basically the same thing. One's a little bit more involved. And so the documents, the illegal documents that came out as part of that there's some more out there, but those particular ones were the response to that motion to get the case to go away that her lawyers filed on her behalf.
Okay, just want to see lawyeries.
Mm-hmm.
Good to have that background. Does that help you out in moments like this?
Well, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'd like to have a little bit less with my sports, but
yeah, that's the intersection right there. And that was the line that made me think. I'm pretty sure a bunch of people tweeted that Greg Hardy was never convicted, and I don't know technically if he was or not in his case. I know there was a out-of-court settlement.
He was convicted, and that conviction was appealed, and they settled on appeal.
So during the appeal, that's when there was the settle. Okay, so he was convicted. Okay, because it was just like, yeah, he wasn't convicted. He wasn't found guilty of that charge.
No, he was not convicted by a jury. He was convicted on a bench trial. Which is where the judge makes the full judgment. There's no jury involved. My cat just walked in. Guest star Kitty. He's like, there's no way. He's scurrying away. Oh, yeah?
Nothing to do with your nonsense.
I don't have anything in here with me right now. I may not have anything with me at all tonight because I need to get some sleep. It's been a rough week for baby girl Libby.
Uh-oh, what's happening?
Well, she's getting old and she's had this congestive heart failure thing for several years, and it's been kind of touch and go at times, and we're not getting past it this time. We've been able to get past it before. So we've been kind of, she seems, it's so hard. She's kind of gotten used to it for one thing. And so it doesn't freak her out like it used to. But it sounds awful, and, we'll see. Her time's growing near. We know that. I mean, she's 14 years old,
Yeah, that's what happened with us and Sting. I mean, we had to feed him through a tube for a month, and he recovered, and we're like, he's immortal. And then he eventually, wasted away and died when he was 17, which is pretty good for any animal. But, there he said he promised Allison 20 years, so he didn't live up to the promise. But it is tough when they, getting toward the end. Because you're basically like, I will do pretty much anything for these pets. I might do more for these pets than I'll do for myself.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. I blame you. I've got 3 cats. I blame you for this.
You do blame me for a lot. I mean, it's not victim blaming, but there's something happening here.
No, they are adorable. And
Yeah, see?
can't imagine not having them. And they're overall they're pretty good kitties. You know, they're all right. So
Overall, I guess
overall,
the third one has become a full member of the family,
yes, Iggy is a full member of the family.
not getting pawned off.
It has to be since Mama Cat's now moved away, and so.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, my sister and her family did not show any inclination to adopt Iggy, and Iggy gets along very well with Smokey. Iggy and Smokey are big buddies, and don't think I haven't thought today about changing Smokey's name too.
Hmm.
But and Bandit gets along with everybody as long as everybody acknowledges that he's the king and runs everything.
Yeah, those cats know they got it going
So,
on.
yeah.
So do we transfer to another issue? Should we
Sure.
talk about you and a certain calendar that was mentioned in a local newspaper, the National Banner?
Oh, I had actually forgotten about that because of, yeah, you know, I mean, and I never did look at, they kept asking me to look at the article. Um, you know, look, I thought the presentation was a little sexist because it was, hey, look, hot bodies, buy this calendar, blah, blah, blah. And the explanation that I got was, they're strong women and that's sexy, you know, just all of
Well,
this.
yeah, let's explain. So it's the Nashville Banner did like an article, and it was about a calendar featuring female firefighters, and it was talking about them being smoking hot.
Smoking hot, essentially.
And Sharona decided to pick a fight.
I did. I didn't mean to.
I'm gonna go pick a fight.
It was like, well, I mean, you know, I thought I was being fairly nice about it, and then I got hit with the, if you can't see what we're saying, we can't help you
Oh
thing. And
man.
I'm like, fuck you, and your little horse too.
Yeah, it was a very dismissive, and I've gotten this kind of reaction like you're just reacting to the headline or the picture. You're not actually reading the article. And then you read the article, you're like, yeah, it still sucks, or you know, oh, it's still offensive, or it's still not.
Yeah, I
Not
mean, I
changing my
didn't have.
mind.
I mean, you know, I gave brief consideration before, you know, other things started blowing up. I gave brief consideration to actually doing that and writing back to them and saying, see, this is the headline that I would have put on this, and this is how I would have tweeted it out. But then I was like,
Nah,
nah.
can't fix them. Although I assume they'd have a similar. I don't know. Would like a calendar of male firefighters even get in the paper? You know, would it get noticed? It would probably be similar commentary.
I don't know. I mean, maybe, maybe not.
Guys could be objectified. Come on.
Guys can be objectified, but you know,
Not me, but other guys. Just saying.
I would pay big money to see you in ass
Go for it.
chaps and a cowboy hat.
Yeah, so would others. Other singular.
So I don't know. I
And
mean,
that's
it
how
was
it
just a
is.
thing. I thought, and again, it's the conversation that always interests me, right? So I thought the conversation was as interesting as anything else, you know.
I would have to say, if I were in charge of like the social media of like a big company, I would be fired. Like I would say something just dumb. I would be like that example. Was it? I feel like it was like Virgin Airlines Australia who basically called Kanye West something or other, like told him to shut the bleep up. And
Oh,
I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
I
It
missed
was something
that.
that got deleted, but I was like, you know, I would do that.
I
I would
missed
be in charge of like a sports teams thing, and I would make it just bad commentary that I usually do on my own Twitter account, and I'd be out the door.
that. Yeah, I don't know. I missed all
I'd be
that.
finished. I can't believe you can keep track of everything.
Have you checked out The Life of Pablo?
I don't know what that is.
Kanye dropped a new album, CD, whatever.
Oh, popular music. I'm pretty sure I've listened to exactly one album that came out last year.
Hmm.
Father John Misty's "I Love You, Honey Bear," which I've listened to like 50 times. But anything else that came out last year, I don't think I have.
What was the name of that? You went through it so fast.
Father John Misty's "I Love You, Honey Bear," and I believe he was part of the Fleet Foxes, but it's really good stuff.
Okay. Father, I'll have to.
I'd say it's folky stuff, but he does kind of evoke the Beatles sometimes. But it's
Okay.
I enjoy it.
Cool. Cool.
But yeah, I actually did watch. We were watching. What were we watching on Sunday? Probably Downton Abbey or something, and then turned to the. Oh wait, the Grammys were Monday, right? So we were like, you know what we want to see in the Grammys? We want to see the number from Hamilton because we've heard so much about it. We're going to New York City, and we would probably have to put up like a mortgage payment to buy tickets to it because it's like the hottest ticket on Broadway. So we wanted to hear the number that they were going to do at the Grammys. We wanted to hear Kendrick Lamar come on, and we wanted to see Adele, and I think even the Bowie tribute, which I hear got mixed reviews from the Grammys.
Oh, yeah?
I'm talking about the Grammys almost as bad as when Jody wouldn't shut up about baseball. Oh, it's horrible. What happened to me? I used to be a contender. Yeah. Well, we just
So
became.
you're not the biggest Lady Gaga fan. Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know. It's like there's certain really popular figures that you're just like, I'm not going to listen to, and even if I do, I'm not going to get into it. So I've heard music by her, and she's got a bit of an ego too, doesn't she? She just won like a Golden Globe, and her whole like thank you everybody was so thank you everybody for putting up with my awesomeness. It was like, whoa, okay, but hey, she's got the world on a string, that's for sure.
I thought she did a fabulous job at the Super Bowl, singing the national anthem.
Yeah, I think everybody at our party was kind of talking about the outfit, but I was like, she got the voice. That. She's got the voice. Some people like they miss a word or they say like they are a little off key, and the worst ever was like drunken Charlie Daniels at a Titans game. That was bad, and that was like early Titans, like when they were good. He like missed the words, and they were like written on the screen. He was bad.
I don't remember that.
The dude wasn't known for his singing, and just put it that way.
All right. Well.
I know. Music tangent. I like it. It's good. But no, we really got into the Kendrick Lamar song "Swimming Pools" because it basically has the refrain: "Drank,
Yeah.
find a swimming pool full of liquor, you dive in it." I mean, you can't beat that.
I like Kendrick Lamar.
Kind of got the kind of ruling things too. But I just don't like. You could probably play Kanye stuff, and I wouldn't even know it's him. I just know the semi-crazy guy who, for some reason, tweets like a drunken 15-year-old. I don't know.
He's had an interesting month on Twitter.
I know. Twitter's had an interesting month. Everybody was talking about the death of Twitter because of whatever new algorithm they have, but I don't know. It's going to take a lot to sync Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, people need an alternative, and I think it's good that people are limited to 140 characters, although I still like get confused when I'm allowed to type more on a direct message. Like, ooh, it seems wrong that I've gone above 140 characters, you know? You set this arbitrary limit, and then it becomes like, that's what I'm used to. Yep. You okay over there? Oh, I just want to make sure. I saw you blink because you're what is happening here?
Sorry.
I'm hoping that it's totally unrelated, that the lack of sleep, not the...
It is. Poor Libby just, she's struggling.
Related.
Yeah, she's struggling to breathe, and last night was a bad night, and it was the worst it's been. The night before last, I got some sleep. It was a lot better, but this has been going on for probably about a week now, and so and it's been bad, continuous. So I thought she was getting better, and then we kind of reverted back. So we're going to double up on medication and see if that doesn't help.
Give me some meds.
But she's probably not going to sleep with me tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You just shove some pills down?
No, she's got her own crate. She'll be.
I wonder, does she take the pills?
What?
Because our cat's like.
Oh, I've already given her 2. I gave her 1 earlier today, and what I do is just wrap it up in peanut butter and stick it on the roof of her mouth, and she swallows it.
Our cat was sneaky. Like he managed to like eat around the pill somehow, and he would even like you'd have him on his back, and you'd throw the pill down his throat, and somehow he would like hide under his tongue, and then you'd see it on the floor like 5 minutes later. Like you suck. They're really good at that.
If you put it in peanut butter, they basically don't have much choice.
Yeah. But they're big fans of that. They're mostly I like their wet food all the way.
Yeah. Well, I don't have to give the cats that stuff, so we have no experience there.
I mean, we had like a relatively old cat who wouldn't fight too much, but when we had the younger guy, he was like almost impossible to give any kind of medicine to. Like you try to get like liquid versus pill, but then if you did the liquid, he'd basically like foam it out or spit it out. They were like amazing at not taking.
Lord. They're high maintenance medicine takers.
I can't imagine these guys are kittens. I mean, they're little ball. They're either super balls of energy or super balls of napping.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was home last Friday, working from home, and there's this soy over there in that blanket pretty much all day. Not much. It's like, hey, we'll play with the paper ball for about a minute and a half, and then I think I need to get back to napping. Just, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So was it my fault for getting you back in touch with your inner Florio?
Oh, I didn't actually read it. Sorry.
Well, he's associated with which site is that? That's like a very.
Oh, Mike Florio.
Yeah.
I don't know who tweeted something in my. I don't remember. Oh, he was talking about Sean. I mean, you guys like Clay Travis and Mike Florio talking about Sean King and manufactured controversy and all of that. I mean, get over yourself. So yeah, I just had to remind everybody that Mike Florio basically called Greg Hardy's accuser a gold digger.
It's interesting to see, a lot of people go to law school and then they're like, I don't want to be a lawyer. And then they find something else to do. Like Mike Florio became like the voice of the NFL almost in a way. And Clay Travis is the college guy. He'll probably be, somebody's going to be paying him a lot of money for a long time to do that kind of stuff. They ain't dummies. Yeah, I just had to see the eye rolling part. So should we like?
Did I satisfy? Should I roll some more?
Is there anyone else that is off your list forever? I mean, it seems like there are quite a lot of potential targets out there.
I mean, I very, 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 very rarely do I read Jason Whitlock, who I have dubbed Jason Whitless. So I suppose he's on the list. I don't know. Let me think.
I remember when I lived in Kansas City, there was like a local writer who was like a sports writer.
Oh, I don't read Papa Harsky.
It was early in like the internet days, but he just like would go off on Whitlock. This is before he blew up as like a national guy, and just how he would like go to a 5K and like after half a mile go into a barbecue joint and eat, and it was just like, I don't know, but it was entertaining stuff. The guy disappeared, and sadly, because it was good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Whitlock's kind of bounced around. Like he was an ESPN guy, and wasn't ESPN the one that was going to do like the Black Grantland with him, and it just never came together.
They're still apparently working on that. It's called The Undefeated. Now I don't know if they've renamed it again. But
he's over at Fox now, right? So.
Yeah, they had hired some writers and stuff. I haven't seen anything lately about it. I don't know. But did you see Bill Simmons and his new website, The Ringer or something like that?
Yeah, if you do take a job there, just don't get involved in the 401k. I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing. I mean, you guys can. Hey, it's good for him. I mean, so is it like associated with HBO because I know he's doing an HBO show, which may come out in 2018 for all we know.
Some of his writers
he's
went to work
podcasting
for,
again.
what, MTV?
Yeah, some of those guys like is it Bill Barnwell? I think Robert Mays. I feel like they're at like Sports Illustrated now. Like some of them got the really heavy football people still kept writing for other people, but yeah, they kind of bounced around all over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
It was an experiment, you know. The internet's a funny and weird place.
I've learned something about my headset that's kind of cool. I can adjust my level. I don't know if this side does that or not. No. Anyway.
Adjust it so you can't hear me anymore. What's that all about?
Well, I could, I suppose. Go all the way down. That's neat. I didn't know I had that. I wonder if I've got anything else. Learn something new every day. I didn't learn that today, but I did learn that recently.
So have you not joined any of the MFL 10s with Jen and that dynamic degenerate crew?
I have not.
I don't think I'm ready for that.
I'm in off-season mode. I'm only going to do one podcast this week. That will be on Friday. I'm hoping to get some sleep tonight and hoping to, chill a little bit. So,
You best. Yeah, I thought about doing an MFL 10 just because it kind of gives you a feel for what the landscape is in terms of like fantasy rankings. Like people are already posting 2016 rankings for players because it really is not. I mean, they even say there is no off season. It's like the outside the box of fantasy football. So I joined in. Ryan McDowell does these dynasty startup mocks for Dynasty League football. So I got involved in one. And I like after like the third round, I didn't know who any of the rookies were. Like they just kept flying off the board, and I was like, I knew like Ezekiel Elliott and Treadwell, the receiver from Mississippi, and then after that, I was like, I don't know who these guys are, so I totally avoided them. I picked a very Jen would be very happy because my first pick was Dez Bryant.
Oh yeah.
I don't know when we had.
By the way, I never whine at you.
Oh, really?
Maybe a little. Okay, maybe a little.
And if you don't, it's hard to tell you care, right?
So how did your show with Jen go? Have we talked about that yet?
I think so. I mean, wasn't it last week? Last week was weird because I had 4 shows scheduled. I think I only ended up doing 3, but I'm all over the board. It was fun, although funny thing is I'm like, I want to do a show that has nothing to do with football, and once I did it, I couldn't even think of like what I wanted to talk about next, so I don't know when the next one will come out. But I mean, we did an Oz draft. I heard from like 2 people said they listened to it. I'm like, hey, 2 more than usual, so that was good. I mean, people were listening for you, but they're editing out the part with me.
No, whatever.
But it's really, I mean, almost like in my mind, even though I do enjoy talking, sometimes it's just like, I'm doing a Google Hangout just because I'm hanging out with someone I like to talk to. And I knew that Jen was at least fired up enough that it would work. Because when you're talking about something as obscure as a TV show that last aired in 2003, you have to be like, oh yeah, that character. You can't remember everything because I swear like there are 6 seasons of that show, and like seasons 3 through 5, I'm like, I don't remember what happened. And on a show like that where 110 people were killed in the 56 episodes, yeah, it's hard to keep track.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, there's a website that actually shows every person who was killed, although there are a few times where it's kind of nebulous, so it's hard to tell. That's including people in the prison and people in the prison killed before they went into the prison. So yeah.
Now, have you been watching the new X-Files at all?
I just watched it every once in a while when it was originally out, and I feel like I don't know why that feels like a show I should have watched. And I don't even know what people's reactions are. I don't know if you're watching it, but it doesn't seem like the first episode seemed to disappoint people.
Yeah, I've seen mixed reactions, and I haven't seen a ton of interest. Now, my timeline was all about The Walking Dead, which apparently is a big thing. Do you watch it?
I got tired of it. I felt like I wanted the people to be eaten by zombies after a while. You just got sick of them. And it was like boring exposition. We don't have a big budget episode, and then there'd be like one episode a season where they just killed a bunch of zombies, and you're like, after like a while, wouldn't they just totally decompose? I don't know. I felt like the people who watch it and are really into it felt the same way as I did, but they just have this momentum to it. Like every fourth episode, that was awesome, and then it's like, yeah, it kind of sucks otherwise. So I just never.
That wouldn't be something that would hold my attention.
I enjoyed it, and I feel like I watched it for 3 or 4 seasons, and it just kind of got like, I don't know where you can go with it, really. It's interesting for a while, and I don't know. There's so much good TV. It's like a show has to be really, really good. I mean, we're watching Downton Abbey. I don't know if we watched this season first when we gotten into it, but we're like, this is the end. There's only like a few episodes left. Let's see how it ends. So we're watching that. And I don't know. I'm pretty sure because Gilmore Girls is getting like a reboot for like 4 episodes. I've already talked to Vixen Rogue, Kayla. She's like really into that show, and she was really freaked out that I liked it because we're on opposite ends politically, and she likes baseball and isn't quite sure about football other than she lives in Seattle, and she's like, oh my god, I'm doing a show. We're doing it. So after the I don't know if it's Netflix, wherever they're doing like a 4 episode like arc.
Okay.
Not surprisingly, everybody in that show is available, other than Melissa McCarthy, who is like a big star now, and apparently the creator of the show didn't even like invite her to do it, which was weird because she was only like a bit player in that show too. She only appeared every once in a while, and she was like the main character's best friend, and she wasn't as kooky, wacky as their characters in movies, but I don't know what happened there, but everybody else is going on.
Okay, cool.
So another obscure show because that was last on the air 8 years ago.
Kayla's fun to chat with, to do a Google Hangout with. I need to get her back on my podcast.
Yeah, she can get you caught up on baseball. She's trying to get me to do a baseball fantasy league, and I don't know if I can do it.
Well, we usually talk gaming, but I want her to come on and talk politics.
That's something you could probably talk about.
Yeah.
Brief gaming story. I was trying to get my Wii going again because I was going to play one of my games I hadn't played in a while, and a darn cat chewed through the wire that led to the thing that catches the remote. So I was like, oh, can't play. Those cats love wires.
Yeah, they do.
They've eaten so many.
They do.
They stopped, but I swear there was a 6-week period where they ate like 8 pairs of earbuds. If I left them on the floor for a second, they just.
Yeah, I can attest to that. My cats like to do that too, and I forget what I had done or where I had gone. Maybe I had gone to the store or something, and I came back, and they had been over here messing with my 360 cords and stuff, and it was like leaning over where they had knocked it over and stuff, which can A, scratch the disc, and B, make me very mad. And so
what's the priority there?
So far it seems to be doing okay. I haven't noticed anything, so no harm, no foul yet, fingers crossed. But yeah, they're definitely, when they're not doing that, chewing on that, they're wanting to sneak up behind me and go, latch on.
Oh yeah.
Especially Little Bit, who I wish she was in here. Little Bit has figured out when I've got I like to pull my hair up and twist it up and a ponytail on top of my head, and she'll get right up here. Smokey started doing this too, but it's mostly Little Bit. She'll get right up here and she'll play with it, kind of grab it, and it's like, what?
Yeah, anything that dangles, they definitely like to smell your hair. And look at that bottle, empty.
Woohoo!
But dun dun dun.
My mug.
Okay, we can keep the geek train going. So I forget if you were like a Game of Thrones person or not.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Have you noticed how crazy people get Zapruder film-ish about the promos?
Yeah, I haven't watched any of them yet.
I was wondering if you saw the latest promo. It's pretty good.
No, I have not, because I just haven't had a lot of.
It's like 34 seconds. You should watch it.
Okay, I'll watch it.
It's basically it's like a scene from that Room of the Dead that was it Arya's in, or I can't remember her name.
Arya.
and it shows characters that have died.
Huh?
And like little quotes from them talking, and then it shows actual characters who are still alive, and they're like, and you're like, you're screwing with us. You're showing our favorite characters dying, you bastards. That's what they do on Game of Thrones.
Maybe you can clear something up for me. I want to call him a hollow man, but he's not. What are the unnatural guys in it called again? The others, right?
Are those the ones that like can be many different people?
Yeah. The ones that get, the undead with the blue eyes and stuff.
White Walkers?
The White Walkers. Okay. The one where John toward the last episode where John Crow and he's going over there to try to rescue. So where he's trying to rescue all the people behind the wall and the wildlings, the people behind the wall, and the dude who's standing that's his uncle, right? The one who's going like this, and he's going, kind of freaked out. Isn't that his uncle?
I didn't know if we knew who the people were. It was just they were cool, and it was like a big budget action movie, that episode where they went up there and went against the walkers and got absolutely demolished.
I thought that was Benjen, his uncle. But I haven't been able to confirm that. Well, it might not be, so okay. All right.
I don't know. It sounds like I'd say it'd be a downer, but people didn't seem to like the last season that much. But I always enjoy it, especially where they had the whole queen who had to do like the big walk of shame.
Oh yeah, Cersei.
I mean, that was I guess the actress in that scene actually was like pregnant, so it was like a CGI almost, like where it was like her head and then somebody else's body that whole time.
Oh, yeah.
But
I didn't know that.
That would not have been a fun acting job right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's overall, I would have to give it very high marks on casting.
I mean, because I mentioned the fact that Oz was the first like drama by HBO. I'm like, I wonder what that show's budget was versus like the Game of Thrones. I feel like Game of Thrones is at least something like $5 million an episode to do, and it's like basically a big budget movie by the time the season's over. But they managed to make it. I mean, it's all about everybody's got to have their TV shows now. I even saw like an ad for a YouTube Red movie, like a movie that was on YouTube or something. I mean, everybody's got their own content now. So you need to like develop a show or something, a series.
I'm posting my little mini, excuse me, my little mini, 3 to 5 minute gaming videos up there.
Gaming. Isn't Kanye West of a game, or is that not right?
Well, yeah, it was kind of interesting because it looks like he's got a game about his mom. There's a narrative on Twitter that I'm leaning toward agreeing with, and that's that Kanye's very he was obviously very close to his mother who passed on, and it does seem like he might have some guilt feelings about that, might think that it's his fault. And so anyway,
Okay.
I don't know what's going on with Kanye. I don't know.
So if we do like some kind of radio drama, I suggest, well, we could either call it one of two things.
What?
You tell me which title you like better. Title 1 will be White Radio.
Okay.
And title 2 will be Jibber Jabber. Or is it Jib Jab? No, Jib Jab's already a thing.
Jibber Jabber.
Because you asked me today, what's going on Twitter. You weren't paying attention. I'm like, well, the same Jibber Jabber. And you're like, I want that show, and I want to be you Jibber Jabber.
I want to be Jabber.
Basically, we would do something like one of us would say what we think about a subject, and the other one of us would have to be like a Clay Travis reaction or some kind of like over-the-top bad, horrible thing that lots of people agree with because they're horrible, terrible people. And go with that. See what happens.
Okay.
Maybe a little improv, but I don't know how much of that I could pull off. I don't know if I'd be better or worse after a beer and a half of this.
All right. Put down my wine glass.
Put down your wine glass. No, I would not say we'd actually do that.
Oh,
No,
okay.
that was something that was actually used because Sean King, who wrote the original article that got attention about Peyton, and then
Yes.
Jason Whitlock, who immediately ran to the defense of the Clay Travises of the world, actually had like a Twitter slap
Excuse
fight
me.
that
Pardon
would have
me.
made a couple of 12-year-olds proud.
Oh yeah. So yeah, fill me in here.
Because
What
all
happened?
Sean King says something about a bunch of like white radio has been talking about me all week. I don't know what that is. And Jason Whitlock was part of it because he was on with Clay Travis and some other person you think is terrible. And I guess they've been talking about him, but it's like no one talks about anybody behind your back. It's like well publicized. You can see it. There's nothing hidden there. And I don't really know because I've heard things about Sean King, like he's part of like Black Lives Matter, but he started some kind of charity and raised money that sounds like he may have taken some of, and there's some.
He's got some controversy
It's one of
associated.
those things where people were
Okay.
focusing on the bad things associated with him and not the fact that he posted about this case. The fact that he may look bad, and this is like a logical fallacy out there somewhere, where they're pointing at him instead of what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Because he was not the first person to write about this, not even this month.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, oh, this guy is
Yeah.
totally a shill, so that means what he wrote about is not legitimate. And it's like, well, it kind of is. But it's like all that whole internet thing it's quite interesting. But the fact that he mentioned like white radio and everybody's like, what's white radio? I'm like, you know what white podcasting is? It's like 95% of it. It's all about giving the white male a voice because we don't have it right now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, there's certainly, I think, in his defense, sports talk radio is predominantly white male.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's kind of what podcasting is, and it's kind of what YouTubing is. It's kind of what a lot of things are.
So.
It's white culture, which is
Peyton.
pretty bad, which is Peyton. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Peyton.
So during this whole time, have you gotten any letters from the school saying, hey, you want to donate money to us? We can sure use it.
No, I have not.
Donate to the education fund or the sports slush fund.
It is interesting, though, because I told you I was doing some research, looking up some things. Oh, let me see if I've got it. My screenshot off. I got on their Office of their compliance website just to poke around and see what was out there, and they have removed their filing claims. So I thought that was interesting, very interesting.
There's a lot happening.
So yeah, I mean, I think I've got to sit back down with the lawsuit, but from my rather cursory reading of it, I think there are two of the allegations to me looked like on their face, prima facie on their face, that they had some real teeth to them. So we'll see.
I'll make sure to use that term, prima facie, because I'm going to probably be on my face by the time I get to that third brewery on Saturday.
Yes, you probably will be.
The tweets around anytime between 1:30 and 5:30 on Saturday probably will be good stuff, and I'll be wanting to delete later.
Oh.
But I don't delete tweets. I have deleted tweets, but
I very sparingly do. I mean, usually if I say it with my chest.
Or if your cats are tweeting for you.
Yeah, there's only been one or two of those, I think. So yeah, I kind of miss the little poopy heads. They're not in here.
So you said you'd adjust your account. Did you have to do something with your Twitter account, like make it private or something?
I made it. Yeah, I locked it down. I made it private.
Oh.
And changed my privacy settings for a lot of stuff.
So I mean, random people can't come by and say hi and say mean things.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to. I control who comes in my DMs and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's silly. I never ever thought I'd have to do that, and I mean, you would think that slandered Peyton Manning in my article, which he really wasn't a very big part of it. Kind of weird. So anyway, did I say anything bad about Peyton Manning in my article at all, Zach?
Yeah, it wasn't that much about Peyton.
I mean,
he was attached to a case that's talking about kind of our culture and what's going on right now and what these schools are dealing with.
But if anything else, they're making the point. They're making the point that I think that we've got a problem and it's got to be addressed.
Yes, first of all, why do our celebrities need to be these perfect people? Because there is no such thing. And then if someone you admire does something bad, do you like help them cover for it, or do you go, oh, let's talk about this and figure it out? Because obviously Peyton's not going to talk about this because he's not dumb and he's already had 2 lawsuits. I don't know if we're going to go for a third. I mean, that's
and it makes I swear I swear I wonder if Clay Travis is in his pocket and if he's not doing all of this, at Peyton's. I mean, that thought has legitimately crossed my mind. I've been like, Peyton, are you making Clay go out here and act like a fool like this? Because it's really overboard. What he's doing is really overboard.
It's a nice distraction tactic, I guess. Because it always, the people who are kind of in favor of Peyton are doing that look over here thing. They're not like, this is wrong, let me show you how it's wrong. All they're saying is it's old. Yes, it's an old case. Good point there. And it's what we have is from one side, but we've got enough from Peyton's side to see what's happening, to see a pattern. I mean, if this has just happened in 96 and it will ignore the 94, whatever happened, and there wasn't that follow-up with the book, I don't know, would people be talking about it now? Maybe, but it's less likely. His own damn fault, It's like when you start arguing with someone on Twitter and you're like, oh, I'm the one who started this, so it is kind of my fault.
Well, how about
Peyton brought it up? It's kind of his fault for bringing it up.
How about just say, yeah, it was a thing that happened. He, paid the price in terms of the resolution, whatever resolution. And you know what? If Tennessee's got a problem, maybe we should try to figure out how to fix that.
I mean, we're a very forgiving country. So if Peyton did come forward and say, hey, I did this thing when I was young, and he apologized publicly, and then he was like, I'm going to come to Tennessee and help him work this thing out. Like, wouldn't everybody just be like, yay, Peyton, we love you? It would just be like a small thing, but it's never going to happen.
Well, I don't think that I think
it might be legally he can't talk,
I think
which I understand that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with Peyton not saying anything. I really don't. I think that the better way to approach the conversation is, gee whiz, let's look at what's happening at Tennessee. Let's look at what happened at Florida State. Let's look at what's going on at Baylor and try to fix this.
Yeah. Because, one of the reasons why that story at Tennessee is getting more attention is because Peyton's now attached to it.
Yeah.
Like the story at Tennessee, the whole Title IX, the lawsuit and the sexual assault allegations and that stuff, I think it would have totally disappeared if Peyton weren't attached at all. It kind of has disappeared. Good thing we have people like Sharona talking about it,
Yeah. Good thing.
Because you mentioned.
Good thing.
You mentioned it's an important fact. Like, we do get fatigued. Like, I posted 4 different articles for this, and I could have posted probably 40 more. It's hard to, we talk about like the outrage, but the outrage has a really short half-life. And you're like, I got to move on to something else because it is hard to focus on something, especially when it like these legal situations go on for years. Mm-hmm. So you just let it go. And you're like, I don't want to. In a way, you do want to let it go. You're like, it's not going to change. And the people who are negative about it are just going to come in and be total dicks and not make you want to try to hopefully have a positive resolution where the women who have come out and actually made these accusations are really putting themselves on the line, and you want to say, hopefully something positive comes of this.
Hopefully.
We want. Anyway. So tired, Sharona. What's happening? Tell me about your show this week.
Well, this is the first show that I've done with my good buddy Zach, going for 2. Maybe one night we'll do a jibber jabber with Zach and Sharona.
Oh, gosh.
One podcast this week, Friday, Back Talk with Sharona, starting draft coverage and whatnot. And my Tuesday night show, The Zone Blitz, is on hiatus. So, but I did, as Zach mentioned, write an article about the Peyton Manning situation. It is called Why It Still Matters. And you can find that on our Facebook page. You can follow me on Twitter. No, you can't, because it's locked down.
Yeah, Facebook.com, look up Going for 2, the number 2. I think, or is it the number spelling out? You can try it both ways. I feel like the number 2 was actually taken. They had to spell it out. I think that's what it was. I should know, I'm good at promotion. I like the shows where it's hard to spell the show I'm on, because it really helps a lot. I'm just on Twitter and I'm not locked down, but you never know. But this Saturday, I really did want to write an article about the Oz show, but it just kept going because I was just talking about characters, and it was like talking about guys you drafted in a fantasy league in 1996, and you're like, really, you want to read this? So. Yeah, I should at least post the teams that Jen and I drafted from the character, because that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Even though I think we misspelled either the names of the actors or the characters. There are a lot of characters on that show. It's not like Full House where 8 people in the show ever. It was complicated. But I guess that's what we got for tonight. So thanks, Sharona, for coming in. Maybe lack of sleep drunk.
I'm sorry. I really am tired. No.
What have we done? So, yes. Check out Sharona. She does good stuff. And thanks for coming on, and thanks for listening. And, Dawn, we're going to be drinking together, and I'm going to try to make you drink a different beer this weekend. Let's see if you stayed to the end for the credits. The secret after the credits scene. It's like a Marvel movie. So thanks, everybody. And as we like to say at the end, kiss my grits.